Hi there, welcome back to part 2. I don't have my microphone plugged in, so I'm going to do my best to try and speak clearly and speak as close to my phone microphone as possible. So I still have a little bit more of a haul from yesterday. I have the few things that I got when we hit a couple of little antique shops. First antique shop actually is a big antique shop, and it is in a beautiful old building. It's in the old armory in Orono, Ontario. It was at one time during the war the armory. Thank goodness for my dad that tells me these things. He knew that building right away. Was very familiar with it. Anyhow, it always tends to be on the expensive side, but even more so. And they are very hesitant to be flexible with their prices. And because they have people rent booths, it means they have to phone the owner of the booth and ask, we've got someone here willing to offer you such and such an amount, and if they can get a hold of the person or not. Anyhow, it's not the best one, let me put it that way, but it's still fun for people who love looking at old things, who appreciate beautiful old things. Personally, for me, I am growing weary of all the teacups and saucers. And I know that collectible things come and go in waves. And right now, that generation, my mom's generation of the ladies that would have tea parties, bridge parties, their ladies' church group meeting parties. I mean, my mother had the UCW, the United Church Women. They would meet once a month. And my mom would, at least once a year, my mother, it was her turn to host, and out would come all of her beautiful china teacups. And that generation, of course, sadly, has mostly passed on, and their daughters and grandchildren don't really want all these teacups. Those of us that want a mug of coffee or a mug of tea, we want it by the gallon. We want more like a garbage can full rather than a little dainty cup full. And then pour it by a pot. They make it in a mug. And that's one thing I must say for me with tea. I need my tea made in a pot. I really don't enjoy when a bag is just thrown into water. It'll do, and I won't say no. But when I'm having tea at home, I make a pot of tea, and then it's not unusual for me to finish off a pot of tea. All right, I've already wandered off topic. So at the expensive place, I did find a really cool ice pick. And it's already sharp enough. I don't think I need to get my son-in-law. He's been around long enough. He feels like he could just be another son. If one of my daughters hadn't married him, I think I would have had to surprise adopt him, and his parents wouldn't have liked that. But thank goodness, one of my children fell in love with him, and we got to keep him. He's the one who does all my sharpening so all of our knives, anything we need sharpened. Greg's our guy. He's the one that formed my famous book knife that everyone always asks about when I use it. This that I learned when I watched Sophia's videos from Save Your Books. Save Your Books. It's a YouTube channel. It's excellent if you want to learn about professional book repair. Sophia's your lady. And she makes knives like this, has them sharpened down, just a regular knife, and sharpens it in this round shape. So Greg does that for me. There we go. And he's going to make me a few more because I messaged him the other day and I said, you know what? This one's getting dull and I know you'll resharpen it, but I need something else here in the meantime. And he's going to do that for me. But anyhow, Greg will, I know if I need to, he will sharpen this for me to a tighter point if that's what I need. But I really think, well, maybe I need him to bring it down a little bit. I just thought it would be fun. I really didn't need it. This was just a treat. But to be able to use an actual ice pick. So that was a treat. Thank goodness, again, as I mentioned in part 1, thank goodness for Nancy and Alice. Alice came to the cache and she had some beautiful Christmas postcards. And I went, oh, those are gorgeous. Oh, where did you find those? Because they find them. They're just sleuths, super sleuths. And she said, oh, in the back, there's a box. They're $1. There's lots more. I didn't take them all. And boom, I went heading back and I got 15. So let's enjoy them, shall we? If you're like me, you enjoy a beautiful Christmas postcard. Isn't that pretty? A happy Christmas. I love that with the British. More often you hear Happy Christmas rather than Merry Christmas. And or as the Queen would say, a happy Christmas. And some have writing. That one has writing on the back. It's very pale. Peterborough, New Hampshire, it looks like. But look at that, December 24th. So very pretty. Isn't that pretty? And see what I mean about Victorian Christmas cards? We always think, oh, candy canes, poinsettias. There's no T in there. I always say poinsettia, and it's poinsettia, not poinsettia. So, sorry, interruption by hubby. We always associate candy canes, poinsettias. I did it again, poinsettias. Santa, that sort of thing with Christmas. That's sort of, it's evolved. But for Victorians, here's ivy. I see a little bit of probably mistletoe in there. See some white berries and a red ribbon. And that holly, you see quite a bit of holly because, of course, that's an evergreen. In Victorian Christmas, a lot of roses. Many of the wealthier people had greenhouses and could force plants, force them longer than certainly where I live to be able to do that. I have a very distant cousin who owns a poinsettia nursery in Hawaii. I'd like to show up on his doorstep one day. Hi, cuz. Anyhow, so here, this one, I bet is more North American than British. Box Grove, Ontario, so that's closer to me. But look how pretty that little winter scene is, and it's embossed. And a little bit of holly up there. I don't see holly very often where I live in Ontario, but where my grandmother lived in British Columbia, she had all kinds of holly in her yard. And I remember it was the first time I had ever actually seen real holly and not just plastic holly. That amazed me. Look how pretty these are. Isn't that sweet? Again, snowy scene like this, I bet North America. Doesn't say. Oh, made in USA. So still very pretty with pine cones and some evergreen around it. So these will be going into this year's Christmas books. Merry Christmas, some holly and some ribbon. Norwood, Ontario. Norwood's just north of me. I know where Norwood is. I can't walk there, but it's just north of me. Isn't that pretty? Even New Year's. Very pretty. I think one of the few flowers that we naturally, some of us can, if we can time it right, or if it will time itself right, is people who have Christmas cactus. Very happy New Year. I like the use of the blues there, and I'm not usually a blue person, but that's very pretty. Anyone know what this is? Is it just an oil canteen kind of container? That looks like a plate. Not sure. Let me know what you think. So, made in USA, American. Very pretty. Again, Happy New Year, but still Christmassy things. Some mistletoe here, and holly. Stouffville, Ontario. Stouffville. Oh, that's 30 minutes away from me. I know it looks like it should be pronounced Stouffville, but if you live around here, that's Stouffville. Here's a little bit more modern look with the poinsettias, and it's almost a little junk journal-y. It looks like there's washi tape going in behind there. A little winter, looking out the window with a winter scene, Christmas wishes. There we go. Look at that, poinsettias. So those of you who didn't know that, that's one of my word bugaboos. That thing's going around TikTok right now. What words do people commonly mispronounce that make your head explode? And for me, it's poinsettias. And my husband, I made the mistake of letting him know because he likes to make my head explode over that one. Look at that domestic stamp, 1 cent. Made in USA. Look how pretty with the little birds. Lots of birds on Victorian type Christmas postcards. What a sad thing that really not many send anymore is a Christmas card, let alone a Christmas postcard. I think it would be nice if we went back to little postcards, but it's so expensive now just to send something in the mail. Look at that, isn't that cute with the children blowing their horns? And look how that's been really, really bent and worn out. Canfield, Ontario. I'm not sure where Canfield is. You know me, I'm going to have to look that one up. Christmas greetings. Might need a little bit of cleaning there. I think there's some antique lunch. And it's embossed. Those stars feel really cool. That's very pretty. Gravenhurst. I know where Gravenhurst is. That's a few hours north of me. That's snowy country. You'll get a white Christmas for sure up in Gravenhurst. It's iffy where I am, and I doubt we'll get one this year. They say we're going to have an El Nino winter. Apparently our winter is going to be very little precipitation and warmer than usual. A joyous Christmas, a little one tucked in bed. So cute. That one didn't get used. Made in USA. So these will be fun to be put one into Mrs. Cratchit and the other ones that I have planned. And if I don't stop doing all these hauls, Brandon, Manitoba. But it came from somebody from in the US because that's an American stamp. I really like that one. Look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that one. A Merry Christmas from Mildred. Look at that. December 18, 1914, Hinckley, Utah. To Mr. John Bell in Gravenhurst, Ontario. Very pretty. Oh, you're upside down. I love that one. Very pretty. Love that when they're embossed. And then a little robin. Look how pretty. Christmas greetings. Another one to Brandon, Manitoba. From someone in the U.S. So I bet they moved from the U.S. up to Manitoba and family kept sending them cards, which is nice. My goodness, when I was growing up, we would run out of places to hang all the Christmas cards. My mother would be putting up strings, and we'd of course hang them over the strings, and just cards everywhere. Everyone sent cards back then. So I was really happy to find all these Christmas postcards, thanks to Alice, and apparently Nancy spotted them too, but she's got apparently quite a stash. The estate sale queen found this. Someday my son can have it, but I'm going to use it for now. King Edward cigarillos. I thought it was a nice size rather than the full-size cigar box, which I do have a King Edward full-size cigar box. I have a son named Edward. We call him Ted, but his full name is Edward. He was named after his grandfather. Let's see if we can get this. I think there's some antique lunch on here. And if you just use a soft brush, quite often you can get quite a bit of that off. Now the next few things, I'll work on that later, but that looks like that's going to come right off. I love it. Not sure what I'm going to put in it yet, but those are my colors again. I like the reds and yellows together. So that's a cool little box. And I'm proud of myself. He wanted 5 for it, and I said, can you come down any more on that? And he said, how about 3? And I said, I'll take it. I was just so proud of myself for asking. Thank goodness Nancy spotted some of these next things, because I don't find these very often, and it's obviously because I don't know how to look for them. But somebody's old photo album with just really great photos. Look at her sitting on the steps with a cat. The Tumble Inn. Oh, how cute is that? The cottage our family always went to. The kitty cat there sitting on a fence. Obviously somebody's favorite. The cottage that our family always went to, my Uncle Willie's cottage, it was known as Silver Birches because it was surrounded by birch trees. And my dad even dug some up and brought them back and planted them in our front lawn. So growing up, we had the silver birches from up at the cottage. The silver birches. It eventually apparently burned to the ground. But that's my heaven. If your happy place when you die, you go back to your happy place. That's where mine will be. I'll walk through the front door of Silver Birches someday. But of course my children will someday be there with me. But see, that wouldn't be their happy place, so I don't know how all that works. So but I'm not going to worry about it. What will be, will be. Anyhow, there's just a lot of, look at her in her Sunday best. And my granddad had a whole bunch of little cottages on Lake Wilcox, and they all had little names. One was named Brownie, because that was the family last name. And I've got a photo that lists all the names of Granddad's cottages that he used to rent out for income. This looks Christmassy. She's got holly on, little brooches of holly. You can see them. Huh. Look how beautiful. Or maybe it was a corsage and that was the greenery. Because otherwise that would have to be down south somewhere. But it could have made its way up here. Look at how beautiful those coats are. Oh, so beautiful. Wearing a scarf to save your hairdo. Minden, Ontario. Minden Drugstore. Oh, look at these two hugging, sitting on the bumper, the rear bumper of that car. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so happy. Look at these bathing beauties on the dock. So cute. This tent and them in it reminds me of my dad telling me this is how frugal my grandmother was. They lived right in downtown Toronto, what's known as Christie Pitts, but it's downtown. And she was so frugal. In the summertime, she would rent their house out and move their whole family to a campground. It was local. It was still on the streetcar line, so they could all still get to their jobs and work and that. But Dad said he detested it when they'd all have to move out of the house because Gran rented the house for the summer to someone else to make money. And they'd live at the campground for the summer. But you did what you did back then. You know, sometimes we think we have it so hard done by. Now they've glued these photos right on, so I've got some work ahead of me to get them off. And I may have to eventually put tea-dyed paper on the back because I don't think I will get them off without black on it because I don't want to soak them. I might try the hairdryer, see if that helps. But I think they're still all worth using. Look at those beautiful little tiny photos. Anyhow, I could keep going. These are just so... Oh, there's the back of the book. So, thank goodness Nancy found that. I was very happy to get all those. And then, if that wasn't enough, she said, do you want this one too? She found it. They just call to her. They call out her name and she just comes running. And then I said, do you want that? And she said, no, I just thought you might be interested. Yeah. Look at how interesting those corners are. I wonder if it will come off. Oh, that's really glued in there. Oh, look, they got twins. Look at that. Look at that. That's like the picture and a little dog down in the corner. My aunt had twins, my dad's sister, which is why it's in the family, and I ended up with twins. Fraternal twins can be hereditary. It's still up to the woman, but because my gran had twins, she was able to pass the trait on to my dad, who passed it on to me, and I was able to have the twins. It's not something my dad couldn't make my mother have twins. Does that make sense? Anyhow, and I had my grandmother on my other side, my mother's mother. She also had 3 sets of fraternal twins. They didn't survive, but she had 3 sets of fraternal twins. Only one set I found names for, Frederick and Frederica. Oh my goodness. But this one's just chock full. Campbellford. Oh, well, that's close by. and baby daughter Jean have returned from their visit in Toronto. Jean's first visit to her Aunt Lizzie's in May of 1925. Look at that. My dad would have been that age. He was born in 1925. Look at that pram. They had money, especially if they had photos in 1925. Dimples. Oh, I love having baby pictures. Look at that pram with two babies in there. Oh. Jean and Howard, Grandma's backyard. Oh, isn't that something? Look at that, Jean and Howard. Oh, in the tub. Oh, I'm wasting too much time, but these are just... And the whole thing is just chock full of baby pictures, family pictures. Look at that, 1930. Look at the car. Isn't that something? Campbellford's a lovely little town. There's a campground up there we like. Look at those. That's back when your local newspaper would let you know who was visiting and who was traveling. Look at these corners. I wonder if they glued them in. Oh, I might be able to save those corners as well. Oh, this one is just... Thank you, Nancy, for not wanting this book. Look at their little hats, little flapper hats. Easter. Oh my goodness. I am happy. So, got that too. What else? I've been chattering away so much. What's in here? Ah, just got some more Christmas postcards. So that one is A Glad Christmas to You. Again, flowers, not poinsettias. It was glued into somebody's book, so I'll probably put some tea-dyed paper on the back of that. Some antique laces. Let's just take a look, shall we? And maybe put some into Mrs. Cratchit. I like this one because it's not too thick. Very pretty. Vintage trim. This one I love. And I don't think I'm going to be able to leave this white. I think I'm going to need to go put it into some tea. But I love it. Look at that. Isn't that something? Somebody crocheted that. That's hand crocheted. And it's just beautiful. See that coming out the edge of a book. And then two more. This one's A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And then this one is a prayer card, but it was also advertising for a tonic. So, what does it say? Give it to somebody's name for little boy. Can't make it out. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? I think that's going to go into little kitty cat playing down there. I think that's going to go into Mrs. Cratchit's prayer book, a morning prayer. Very pretty. You'd think I'd be done because I'm at 29 minutes, but no, I'm not done. I decided I'm going to pull a Corey Dahman, so I'm going to pause and lift this so that it can fit under the camera. So I got some sewing table drawers, and the fronts look the same, but the sides look different. If they've been matched together or something, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure whether I'll continue to leave them stacked or not, or whether I'll use them like this. But one of the drawers, the handle was broken. So this was the handle that was on it. But this place has a box of handles that were 75 cents each, so I just picked that one. But I do want to, I want to cheat, and just, that's a little too bright for my liking. And we're going to do that together right now before I go. I'm going to pause and lift this. Okay, so we're going to start with, I think I want something orangey to match this. So we're going to start with Vintage Photo and see if I can just tone that down. I'm not looking to completely hide that it was there. I just want it not so vivid. And that's not dark enough. I think we might have to try, I may be bold and try with the acorn. And that's going to be scary, but I really think, do I want this acorn or that acorn? No, this one's really a reddish acorn. It's the one, it's quite bright. But let's just do it. Yes. Much better. See how I just want to tone that down a bit. I hope that's showing up. I'll tilt it a bit. So that it's still evident that that's not the original knob, but it's not quite so, whoa, look at that. Got a little on the handle. That's metal. So I just picked that out. I would have picked out something I think a little more ornate, but that was the best I could do at the time, and it'll do. I might give that a little bit of a, yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy. Much better. So now I've got to figure out what I'm going to just store in these, whether it's going to be index cards or combination of index cards, recipe cards, and library catalog cards. I might do that. I think they're definitely too thin for my collection of vintage greeting cards. So I don't think I'll be able to keep those in there, but I'll find something. But I think I'm going to, rather than keep them in that stack that was from part of the cabinet for the sewing machine desk, I think I'm going to keep these separate so that I'll be able to look down into them rather than have them sliding in and out. So I wish the other handle, this base was still on it. I wish I could find it to show you, but the handle itself had snapped right off, and these ends are welded in. So because I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to run some yarn through the hole and leave the flower on, but these are welded right in there, so the little snapped piece of metal is actually quite sharp. and it just wasn't it wasn't meant to be. So this one will do. They're not going to most likely ever be side by side anyways. One will probably be in one part of my spittoon, and one will be in somewhere else, and I'll probably spend 20 minutes going, now where did I put those, whatever it is that they ended up in. So thanks for joining me again for this second half. Wowee, that was a whole hour of haul when you add the two videos together. If you're still here after all that, I hope you'll take one more second and just click on like for me. And if you want to, and hit subscribe, especially this time of year with the Christmas journals I'll be working on. They tend to, from what I've heard, I get nice feedback from you all. And I love when you say hi. I love saying hi back at you. Tell me what the weather's like where you're living, or what you're up to. I love to hear about it. I really do. So take care. Hope you're safe and healthy, and everyone you love is safe and healthy. And we'll talk soon. Bye.